Hello, Internet. This is ESC Insight calling. I'm Ewan Spence, and this host needs some help.
I'm Dudepoint, and I am no help whatsoever.
Coming up, it's a flood of songs, a diary full of adventure, and why is everybody getting disqualified? Yes, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. It is 2025. The calendar rolls over and it joins the Eurovision 2025 season as well. All the numbers line up. It's time to take stock of where the song contest is. Look forward to this weekend. Look even further and catch some of the storylines that are swimming in the great big river that is the song contest. For those of you who are keeping track but don't have your diaries completely filled up, here we go. It's the 69th Eurovision Song Contest. On the 13th and 15th of May will be the semi-finals. The grand final on Saturday the 17th of May. And it's all going to be held inside the St. Jakobshalle in Basel, Switzerland. As always, if you're going to buy hotels, flights or anything just now, think about making them refundable. It's still 5 months out. You don't know what's going to happen in life. What I do know is that the news podcast is going to take a slightly different shape this year. There's going to be, it's more like a news panel podcast. We're going to go a little bit more in depth into some of the stories. We are not going to be completely comprehensive this year, but we are going to have lots of fun. And to help me have some fun and to, well, let's face it, we don't know what shape this podcast is going to sound like. So, Dudepoint, you're helping me shape this. It's your fault if this goes wrong. Welcome to what could be your final podcast.
Excellent. I am very glad to take on the responsibility of making sure this goes haywire.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear from dudepoints.tv.
Oh, dudepoint.fun.
Oh, you've upgraded.
Because we're all about the fun.
But are you all about the Eurovision? It's time for the incredibly tricky question I ask the guest. Now, normally in an interview, you go to people, what's your favourite Eurovision song? And 9 times out of 10, if they don't know Eurovision, they will say ABBA. It's a good way to find out when you're on the radio if the person who's on the other side actually knows. But that doesn't work in this context because everybody has slightly more knowledge. So, dude, are you ready for... Are you really a good guest host question?
Okay, I'm ready for it.
Okay. What's your favourite national final song sung by an artist who has already appeared at the Eurovision Song Contest?
This is easy. It's Novo Boye by Constructa. It's essentially the same song that she performed. It's Incorpore Sano Part 2. That she did for PZE 2024. Absolutely brilliant. A whole song about how there's so much pressure to be newer and better in society. Again, her mind, genius, brilliant, always critiquing late capitalism, but doing so with an absolutely banger beat.
You'll be happy to know I have an answer as well. Partly because I wrote it, so I have a chance to rehearse it. But there we are. Look, who thinks I'm going to mention a San Remo song here? Well done. You're right. Look, there's so many I could choose from, but I have actually went for Gianni Morandi here. Partly because just the huge reaction when you yourself relatively new to San Remo the last couple of years, and Arpi Tutti Le Porte from, let's face it, somebody who didn't know they were dead already and was still singing. And I was expecting a ballad at the time. And he comes out with this infectious slice of tropical pop. 52 years after he represented Italy at the Eurovision Song Contest 1970 and taking Occhi di Ragazza to 8th place.
It's brilliant. It's such a great song. And he's done a recent collaboration with Annalisa as well. So this is one thing I love about San Remo is just getting that whole spectrum of the Italian music industry.
And everybody gets to be on exactly the same platform. You have those who have come through Giovanni, the beginners contest. You have the still fighting to get into the charts. You have the legends. And, those legends suddenly find a brand new audience. And the new starts, the grands and granddads all just go, oh, aren't he nice? I'll team up. Oh, I like him. I'll keep him. That's why it's national final season. These are some of the fun stuffs we can do. But there's something else in the Eurovision world that has risen from the sea over the last few years. And we're going to do some of that now. Now, when I talked earlier about how Dudepoint was going to help shape this show going forward, this is your idea, this bit.
It is. Because one of my favorite things about the Eurovision season is the iceberg, which is shaped through the season, and which is full of all of the little stories that arise. And I think trying to explain them to people who aren't necessarily steeped in the lore of Eurovision that is now starting earlier and earlier. I think some of the stuff we'll be talking about actually happened in 2024, which is a new thing. You know, Eurovision season used to kick off with Fickmas, and now it's going even earlier than that. But I think just the amount of sheer ridiculousness that happens each Eurovision season that gets put on the iceberg is so much fun. And I think we should be taking the time to commemorate it and put things on the iceberg as early as we can every Eurovision season.
Well, in my best Radio 4 voice, what have you decided to bring to the iceberg with you?
Well, this week, I think what's icebergable is the rumors around the UK artist. We're recording this in the second week of January, and rumors have dropped about who the UK artist might be. Now, the rumors that were posted on Blue Sky included some clues. These clues alluded to the year 1988, a certain number of Spotify streams, and a drop of how the whole thing will be announced. Now, these clues are still very general, but it has sent the Eurovision community into a tizzy. And I think the one thing that I really regret about this is that it has made people mention the name Callum Scott for two reasons. Number one, Callum Scott was born in 1988. And number two, 1988, Scott Fitzgerald. And people are saying Scott Fitzgerald, Callum Scott. Callum Scott apparently has more than 100 million streams on Spotify for certain songs, but I really hope it's not Callum Scott, because the man ruined Robin's Dancing on My Own. And I think anybody who does that to a Robin song should not be allowed anywhere near Eurovision. So I'm hoping the rumors aren't true. But we've also heard, I mean, Callum Scott is not the only name that's been floated. We've also heard Bananarama. We've heard Churches. We've heard FKA Twigs. So I don't know if any of these are true, but I'm just really enjoying the speculation. And it's been so much fun just watching people come up with these convoluted ways to kind of shoehorn people into the clues.
Yes, I did read somewhere that somebody thought it would be Ted Rogers and Dusty Bin, but that's probably a niche reference too far for most people listening to this podcast. I do remember, you know, there are some years where the UK doesn't really have any rumours, and there are some years where it's just, whoa, lots of names. This year appears it's going to be one of them. I do remember back in 2014, am I allowed to go back 10 years and do the old back in my day? Yeah. 2014, suddenly, somewhere out there, decided that it was going to be She Makes War, which was the stage band name of Laura Kidd out of Bristol. And nobody had told her. And she went on holiday. And then she came back 3 days later to an email box absolutely full, social media awash with, are you doing Eurovision? Are you doing Eurovision? Are you doing Eurovision? Are you doing Eurovision? And she had no idea the rumour mill had kicked off for 3 days. And of course, they've not said anything, it must be them. So I do wonder what Callum Scott's agent's email inbox is looking like just now.
Yeah.
That's a good start for the iceberg. Did you have any that could have made it, but you've decided not to?
Well, there's another thing which is, I think, lower level beneath the ocean iceberg, which is the Estonian wildcard drama. So the way Eesti Lao acts were chosen this year is you had a certain number of songs that made it through instantly to the final, and then one spot was held for a public vote. And they listed 20 to 25 songs. They released them to the public, and people could vote once a day on a song. Well, this week, the winner of that public vote was announced, and it was Marta Lotta with the song Tanston Veal, or I'm Still Dancing. Now, Marta Lotta has done some interesting things to get the public vote. She actually held a rally that was on Estonian news, which attracted all of about 3 people to this public rally in support of her. And it's an okay song, it's a kind of dance banger. But the interesting thing is that Laura Polvere, her of Verona fame, who also had a song of the wild card selection, released a public statement complaining about the way the vote was run, because she had been, announcing that she was going to do a raffle for people who had voted for her. And then the Eesti Lao organizers had said, hey, you can't do that because votes should be private. But then Tanston Veal was saying, oh, if I get so many votes, I'll release a little video. And Laura didn't see the difference. And then she ended her public statement with like, oh, and by the way, you can game the vote if you switch the IP address, basically telling everybody how to cheat on the vote. It was a brilliant meltdown. So I feel very sorry for Laura and AG. I really liked their song. But yeah, the drama has been exquisite. So I hope that Eesti Lao continues this format, because it is bringing so much iceberg.
Have you ever heard of when they used to do dirt track racing with bicycles, a format of race called Devil Take the Hindmost? So in Devil Take the Hindmost, you do 2 laps of the track, and then the racer who's at the very back of the pack is eliminated, and then they do another lap and then is eliminated, and then another one until you've left with the winner. Who's up for a 20-week-long national final of Devil Take the Hindmost?
I am up for that in Estonia. I think you need to be calling Estonian television and suggesting this, because it would be brilliant.
Right, that's the iceberg this week. All of that will now go below the waterline. Cue Jedward intro, but we can't afford them, so just imagine it went in there. And we'll be back with more iceberg, but with a different guest host. That's the definition of a guest, next week. Okay, so where do we stand? We did have a news podcast in September, which caught up with most of the summer stuff, but there has been action and enjoyment and amazement and codes of conduct and various other bits and pieces. So very quickly, this is where Eurovision stands just now. And I need to take a deep breath, because we do have 38 entries. Nobody is withdrawn from last year. We have 1 broadcaster returning. Yes, I know it's broadcasters that enter Eurovision, not countries, but I'm just going to run through the countries because more people will recognise the name. I just need to get my breath. Fill for me for 10 seconds, dude.
Okay, so a deep breath is coming. I can see the lungs expanding, and away we go.
And the turning tape is up. Albania, Armenia, Australia takes an early lead. Austria, Azerbaijan go down there. Belgium, Croatia coming through. Cyprus, Czechia, Denmark coming around the block. Estonia, Finland, France, over Beachersburg, Georgia, Germany, Greece, Iceland, Ireland, Israel, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, and there's a little bit of a gap. Luxembourg coming up there strong on the inside. Malta, Moldova, Montenegro, Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Portugal comes through right at the very end, doing its very own thing. San Marino, Serbia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Ukraine, United Kingdom, and we're at the line with 38 runners over. No falls, no submissions.
Brilliant.
I hope you all got that. If not, just, it's probably on the official website as well, Eurovision.tv. Should have just pointed there. But one of the things that has popped up on the official website is the Code of Conduct and Duty of Care Protocol. This came out at the start of December, and it's one of the further steps that has been taken after the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats that came after Malmo, and very much a closer examination of everything that happened, the impact, and how it can be addressed. And certainly I know, Dudepoints, that the idea of the welfare of the artists and the delegation was something that was quite close to your heart when we were talking about it over the summer.
There are some really promising things that are coming out of this, and I'm encouraged to see it, but I'm a little bit worried about how it's going to be enforced. It's good to see, but will it actually be enacted is, I think, the question.
I think one of the things is that most of this is now written down, whereas before it was almost sort of, this is how we do things, so we'll just keep doing it. But there wasn't anything written down on paper. So it's like, this is definitely how we do things now. And I think that's a great starting point for any organisation to just have it codified, because, delegation members change. Members of staff change. We're going to a different venue. We're going to a different broadcaster hosting it every year. So the more that's documented, the better. And of course, you have artists coming in, and most of the time, they don't have any idea what the Eurovision Song Contest is. They know that they get a 3-minute song in May, but how many of those know that they've got to do stuff in March, or they've got to go and visit Amsterdam for a weekend, and all of the other things that are around it? So getting this all written down, I think, is a really good start. It also lays out what the expectations are, and I think this is where I'm on the same page as you here. It's written down, but what happens if these are broken? I mean, the obvious question to me is, if this had been in place in Malmo, what would have changed? And I think that's where it is, because a lot of trust between the community and the song contest was damaged last year for a multitude of reasons. And Eurovision Wars, Phil Dorey and Anna Oppenheim are going through that on the ESC Insight podcast, so I won't go into depth here. But we have words now, and it is a good place to start building trust back again, in my opinion. But what do the words mean? What impact will they have? Hopefully we won't need to find out. But when we do, I'm interested to what the reaction is going to be when it has to be implemented.
I think the other thing that I'm interested in is, who is the person who's ultimately accountable for this? Because looking at the website before, it was Martin Osterdahl. And I don't know about you, maybe it's just me, but I would not necessarily trust Martin Osterdahl to be the person making decisions about welfare and safety. He's a television producer. He's not a safeguarding expert. So who is the person who's going to be the safeguarding expert to take care of the contestants?
And it will more than likely be somebody who is professionally qualified in that respect. And we're hopeful that there will be some, certainly for those of us who go into the press room and who are accredited. I'm hopeful that we will get a, this is what happens. This is your welfare officer. This is how to reach them. This is how to reach them independently. We will be keeping an eye on that here at Insight as we go forward. But for now, we have the words. It started. Actions come next. We do have some names on our playlists as well, though. We have some internal selections that have happened since September the 1st. We will come back to the September the 1st date importance, I suspect, in a moment when we hit the national final results. But we have 3 names already on the board. We don't have the songs yet. It's worth stressing that at the moment. We'll start off in Cyprus, and Teo Evan. What do you make of Teo?
I don't make anything of Teo so far.
And this is the interesting thing, because you will get names who come in who have a big back catalogue. And Adonis, who we're going to talk about next, is one of those. But those artists who are at the start of the career, there's very little to go on. There's 2 or 3 tracks that are out there. I mean, I'm hearing a slower pop sound, a little bit of EDM in here, but it's a relative blank slate. This is somebody at the start of their career who will be using Eurovision as a springboard.
I'm actually surprised he's not Australian. They got somebody who's from Cyprus this year. And I'm surprised it's a man. I'm intrigued to see what Cyprus is bringing.
Next up, Czechia, and we have Adonis, and this has me very excited. The music is... He loves storytelling, from what I can tell. I mean, he's got a much larger back catalogue than Teo Evan. There's awards in there. He won 5 Street Dance of the Year when he was in his teens. So I'm expecting a routine here. But he also appears to be a very strong LGBTQ plus ally.
First of all, I do want to pour one out for Adam and the Czechia selection show, which was always a delight to watch. Seeing the worst sound quality ever coming from the fabulous Roxy nightclub in Czechia was fantastic. And Adam, who was an AI host before Junior Eurovision even thought of using AI, absolutely brilliant. But I, too, am really excited about Adonis, even though I do want to say Adonks. If you can't have Matt Black in the competition this year, I'm very glad to see that there is somebody who is putting an X in their name. So glad there's somebody with that tradition in the competition. In all seriousness, though, I really am excited to see what they do bring.
Yeah, and that X is in his name also to represent gender fluidity.
Yep.
I'm going off the articles, by the way, that the pronouns are going to be he. They are through all the articles and everything there. But I think this is going to be quite a visually strong song when we come. Obviously, we have no idea about any of this. We are purely speculating. But, where's that fun in not speculating? And here's the one next up from the Netherlands, announcing quite early, but I suspect part of that is to show confidence in the decisions that have happened and that the Netherlands are fully involved in the contest this year, with the mononymic Claude.
You know what? I think Claude is a great choice. I'm glad to see the Netherlands back. I really liked what Joost had brought to the competition, and I think Claude is kind of continuing a new direction for the Netherlands, away from kind of that very sad ballad direction they were going in for many years.
For a long time, it felt like it was really Nashville rather than the Netherlands.
I would even go beyond Nashville, because there were a lot of singer-songwriters and a lot of sadness. And I would like to see the Netherlands kind of move away from that, because I feel like their country is not just all sadness. So having somebody who could go beyond, I think, some of what Duncan Lawrence and what the Common Linnets, you had some good songwriting, but it was, I just want a banger. I tend towards the banger side of things, so I'm excited to see what Claude might be able to bring.
Again, listening back to the back discography, he has a much faster pop sound. There's almost like shades of chanson in there, of spoken word, of vocalizing as well. And I'm not quite ready to say I've got my genre smash of the year catchphrase ready to go, but it's tempting. It's tempting. I suspect Netherlands are going to be announcing this very, very late in the day. So you're talking about early to mid-March for hearing these songs. You can announce your artist whenever you like. As an internal selection, your only deadline is when you have to hand it over to the EBU, which is in the middle of March. You can announce now, you can announce the name and then the song later. You could even submit it to the EBU and not tell the public. Although with so much determined about getting public favour and getting the buzz going, that's probably not the best of strategies possible. But there we go. Right, okay, so shall we move on to the actual competitive national finals we've held?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Because if you said no, that would be the end of the podcast. Okay, so we have two national finals that have been completed before we came to air from a Q4 2024 or Q1 2025 season. Take your pick. Let's start in Montenegro, Montesong, and we welcome back the country broadcaster to the contest after a few years away. And, they took 2 goals to find the song, didn't they?
Yeah, I liked clickbait.
I mean, it was a straight ahead, put your foot on the amplifier, go chug, 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 chug for 3 minutes, look like your dad, or in my case, look like me, and bang, there you go, there's your 3-minute song. It won the national final, but to me, who was hoping for a Balkan ballad, every year I hope for a Balkan ballad, it's just like, oh, that could be from anywhere. It could be from Rotterdam, anywhere, Liverpool, Rome. And then, they played it at a gig in 2023. That's it, great, disqualified. Ooh, who's up next? And that's where I was going to say about the September the 1st date. For those of you who aren't familiar with the rulebook, songs after September the 1st are eligible to enter the song contest from the year before. So it's September 1st, 2024 for 2025. Any song released before that generally is not allowed by the EBU unless it hasn't achieved commercial respectability. I can't remember the exact phrase for it now. Isn't that typical? Basically, if you put it on YouTube and it got 2 views, you're probably going to be okay. If you sung at a great big rock and roll metalhead festival, it's not going to happen.
Although I would note, you had Riley from Denmark performing his song prior to September 1st. He performed it at a festival in Korea and managed to get it through. So the September 1st rule is very porous. And I think that in this case, it may have been because they saw the reaction clickbait got, which was much like the reaction you had. Oh, I kind of wanted a Balkan ballad. I didn't want these dads doing chugga chugga clickbait.
And while the EBU's rule can be porous, broadcasters can apply their own rules. And if the Montenegrin broadcaster had a hard and fast rule of September the 1st, nothing, then basically I think that's what happened. So after all of that, we ended up with Nina Zizic singing for Montenegro. And the dialogue you get to pronounce it lands on you for this one, Dudepoint.
Dobro došli.
Translated, welcome.
Yes, I really enjoyed Nina Zizic when she was part of Igranka. And I really wish that she were bringing them along with this song, but oh well.
It is very traditional sounding, but I know I go for the Balkan ballad. This isn't it. I'm still hoping for a good cliched Balkan ballad. This feels like a very respectable entry. We're not going to talk too much about them because obviously in 8 weeks' time we have Jukebox Jury coming up, and I don't want to give it all away now. I'm going to spend some time with it, but the first reaction is what most people will have in May, and my first reaction is it doesn't really stick in the brain.
It will struggle to get out of the semis.
Moving on to another country, next up in the national final stakes, and the traditional starting gun at Fikmis, which is Festivali Kenyes in Albania, the 63rd edition of the Song for Albania, which also has kind of detached itself slightly from the winner automatically going to the song contest.
So last year, there was definitely that detachment because Mal, who was an entry this year, he won with Sermador. I totally mispronounced that, and did not go. And then the person who did didn't win but won the public vote to go to Eurovision was Besa. This year they collapsed it, so the winner went to Eurovision, and the winner was.
Oh, is it my go now? Is it?
Yeah, it's your go. Sorry.
It was Schoda Electronica with Germ, which is fire. We have a fire. We know what we're waiting for, but we won't know because it's going to stay in Albanian. So I don't know what desire and hire is in Albanian.
I will tell you what desire is. I desire this song to win Eurovision because it's so good. Yeah, it's amazing. I absolutely love it. First of all, this year's Festivali Kengis was fantastic. Elhida Dani had done an amazing job as artistic director. We talk about how this is kind of a Sanremo light, but she really brought it this year, and there were so many good songs. It had a little bit of something for everybody, and as the festival unfolded, I think we got to see some fantastic performances. There were traditional Albanian ballads. There were, powerful women just yelling into the mic, but there were also dance songs. There were our Albanian dads who were actually like the Sailor Boys doing Albanian tinged rock, but this just stood apart. And in the end, it came down to two songs. Elvana, who almost won a couple years ago, who came back this year with a song that was a more generic Swedish style song called Carnival, which was a fun dance banger that was very Latin infused, but it could have come from anywhere. Whereas Germ is very much a song that can only come from Albania and can only be performed by Skoda Electronica. It's just phenomenal.
I think one of the things that has drawn me towards it first is it was written for Festivali Kengis. It wasn't written for Eurovision. It's just that this is what we do as a band. We're completely honest about our music, and it's not getting a revamp. It's going to stay in Albania. There might be some trims and tucks just to make it fit the sound that is needed and a re-record and such like. But essentially, the song that we saw in December will be the song we see in May, and it's honest. I love the word honest about a song. A band that just like, this is what we do. Take us or leave us. Albania took them, and we shall see if the rest of Europe and the rest of the world take them when we get to May. Okay, so we're starting the news podcast now because it is now non-stop weekend for at least 8 weeks. There is national final action that's starting on Saturday. It goes right through to the middle of March. You will get a slight rest, but then the preview concerts are going to kick in, various bits and pieces going around. So really, this is when we find the gearbox and we move it into a higher gear. It really is an exciting time.
I cannot wait to start spending my Saturdays in front of 5 computer screens. It's going to be fantastic.
And one of the things that's exciting right now is a lot of the national finals are just dumping all the songs. So, for example, and we will come to Dora, just hold off. All the Dora songs drop today. All the Estonia songs are out there. Obviously, we have all the Montenegrin and the Albanian songs. The Maltese songs have dropped as well. It's like Spotify, but without the I'm going to force the latest teeny pop sensation into your playlist. It's just, here's a whole bundle of music from a whole bundle of countries. Have a listen.
Indeed, although we are getting some teeny bop sensations along with this, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, and we're also getting some jazz, and we're also getting some prog rock, and we're also getting some gospel tinged funk and reggaeton. Maybe, I don't know. There's a lot of music to get through. I'm sure there'll be one like that.
So I have been listening to all of this at my desk while I'm working, and there's been some fantastic stuff. So let's start with one of the finals, which is coming up near the end of the month, Luxembourg. It's happening on the 25th of January. I've got a ticket. Can't wait to go. One of the songs which is highly tipped to win is Laura Thorne's La Poupée Monte le Son. La Poupée Monte le Son. Can you tell I don't speak French?
Yes, but can you speak Eurovision winner? Because La Poupée sounds rather familiar.
Indeed, it is meant as a tribute to Poupée de Cire, Poupée de Son. I don't quite think it is, but it is the favorite in the competition. I tend to like a song called 0.5 or Ride by the band called 0.5. It is a kind of stomp clap, kind of a Western yeehaw tinged song. And that's one thing I really like about Luxembourg's entries this year. It's very much a competition with variety as opposed to last year. I think they learned, and I think the songs this year are very much a step up from what we saw last year. So Luxembourg's coming in on January 25th, and it's going to be great. So we've got Lithuania's first final coming up this weekend, first of the semifinals coming up. And oh my gosh, there are so many semifinals in Lithuania. It's my favorite national final because you never know what you're going to get. The one thing we won't get this year, which is surprising, there's not a single Monica in the competition.
And by that, you don't mean an artist called Monica. You mean any artist with the name Monica.
Any artist with the name Monica, after having so many Monicas over the years, Monica Marija, Monica Liu, Monica Linkiete, no Monicas this year. However, we do have several returning artists, and the one I'm most looking forward to is Joseph June, who you may remember from 2 years ago with the great song Vacuum, which was essentially the Don't Touch Me song. So I'm very excited to have him back in the competition. Today, shall we go to Dora?
I don't know. I could talk a little bit more and just leave you. You know I am. I'm just going to leave you sitting there for a bit and go, oh, returning contestant. Shall we go? It's as far away as possible. Finland.
Okay.
Erica Wickman, who caught so many hearts in the Eurovision community when she went through UMK 3 years ago, did not qualify through to the Song Contest this year, returning this year to, let's face it, rapturous comments online on the Discords and Reddits and communities. Is it the favourite, though? We don't know because we actually haven't heard all the songs. Each song is getting a full 24 hours before the next one comes out. So it's it stays. I like this because broadcaster Wiley gives each artist time to breathe and their own moment in the spotlight.
The song is called Ik Komme. She's already won just from the title alone.
And now Malta enters the conversation. Sometimes you need to be subtle, Malta. And let's just face it, a song which I presume is based on the ethical works of Immanuel Kant doesn't sound subtle.
So I've listened to it. I like bangers. I like stupid songs. I'm a huge fan of stupid songs. I think Matt Black is my favorite Maltese contestant ever. And yet this song is not good because it takes that one line and thinks the job is done. And it's not. It's just not a good song at all. But speaking of Matt Black, this is something I have not heard people talking about. He has not returned as a contestant, but as a writer. He is a co-writer on one of the songs from Malta's selection. It's Stefan Galea's Lab Lab Talk Talk. And I really would encourage people to listen to it because it's a fun song. And I hope Stefan goes far in the competition.
Do you want to do Dora now?
We could do Estonia.
So hold on. I just give you the opportunity to talk about Dora and you want to go to another country. So
okay.
Either you just forgot or the nice little sort of fictional plot line I was trying to thread through this section you've just shot down.
Okay.
Estonia.
Okay, so Estonia, all the bandwidth in Estonia is being taken up by Tommy Cash, who, and I hope this is an iceberg thread is being spun out because he posted
So it's a
something.
glacier.
It's a total glacier. It's he posted something where he's like revenge for Karya, like Karya and Jost. He is out for revenge with his song, except his song is just okay. It's espresso macchiato. He's probably going to romp to a win in Estilau. There is a lot going on with his song. And the sad thing is, there are some other really good songs in Estilau, including Andrei Zavakin and Karita with their song Ma E Te Sins, which is just a fabulous, fabulous kind of rap, which I just adore.
We also have to remember, and probably stress at this point, that just because you don't win a national final doesn't mean there's like the stench of career death over you. We have almost 10,000 songs every year submitted to various broadcasters. 38 of them are going to make it through to May. But all of them, especially those who you get into the sort of final rounds and televised, which is about 800 people, national exposure on a scale almost unlike any other TV event in each country. National finals can do massive figures in terms of viewing audiences. It's a water cooler moment. You don't have many of them in television nowadays. Your airplay is guaranteed. Plus, you also get the internationalized from the Eurovision community.
And this is actually not Andrei Zavakin's first appearance in Estilau. He was there a couple years ago with Greta Paya with the song Misnut Saab, which was one of my favorites a couple years ago. So it's good to see him back. And I really hope people will be continuing to listen to his music outside of Estilau because it's excellent.
Find your favorites. Even if they don't go to Basel, they stay on your playlist. They're still yours. The emotional connection that you have with a song is not dependent on where it finishes. Just remember that. Yeah, we'll get this done in 24 minutes, I said at the start of the script. Look, we got a lot to get in, okay? It will be slightly shorter next week, but there again, there's more national finals and songs, so we will do our best. We're bringing you as much as we can with some emotion and with some punch. And of course, there's also throughout the week going online for myself at ESC Insight and beyond as well. So lots to catch up on. We'll pick up some from Insight itself. Already mentioned Eurovision Wars, which is a look back at the geopolitical impact of the Eurovision Song Contest from Phil Dory and Anna Oppenheim. We just had episode 4 go up, which sort of looked at how protests were made from the stage in Malmo, with a specific look at the semi-finals, the finals, and what happened. That was going to be in the next episode, but that'll be where you get this podcast as well. Just before that, I interviewed the art director of Basel 2025, Artur Deneuve, and yes, I asked him about the font.
Yeah, because that font is awful. I don't care what he says. Like, no. It's a no for me.
Design is all about creating emotion. Artur, if you're listening, you created a lot of strong emotion with your font choice, which is probably a success. In terms of written stuff, Martin Bishop has an article, How to Get 11,006 People on Stage, which is a clickbait headline, which I now need to replace with something else Montenegrin, on audience participation, and specifically the audience in the hall, as opposed to the audience at home. You'll find all those at escinsight.com. Dudepoint.fun. There's stuff there as well, isn't there?
Dudepoints.fun is there. We just posted an article on some of the gender dynamics in FIC. I know that sounds really intriguing. And soon we will be posting an article on Dora, because the songs dropped today. And I have to tell you, I cannot stop listening to one of the songs, Fengsta's Extra. this was a song that was added at the last minute because one of the songs got booted out. It had changed too much. And they added this hip hop song by somebody who was on the Eurovision Reddit. And it is an absolute banger. I have listened to it 20 times today. I will keep listening to it. And I would encourage everybody listening to this podcast, once you finish listening to this podcast, to go and listen to Extra by Fengsta, because it should win Dora. We need more hip hop in Eurovision.
What we can't have is Dora being won by the substitute 2 years running, because everybody will then go, oh, no, don't pick me yet.
I mean, Dora is actually phenomenal this year. It's got like a lot of different genres. It has some Balkan ballads for you. It's got some stuff which I thought would fit with last year's electropop in Song Vikepnin. It's got some really trippy dance music. Some stuff called a song called NPC. It's got some ethno metal. But again, the song which has gotten me most excited is Fengsta's Extra. That's Fenksta Extra. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on YouTube or anywhere else you get your music.
I am now going to do Grandpa Sims go back in my day. We didn't have all this National Final Music access. We had to go hunting for a Napster. Do you remember Napster? Look, you can find it on the YouTube's and Spotify's playlist. Music is wonderfully accessible nowadays. But at the same time, if you like the music you're listening to, go find the artist's homepage, follow them in social media, see if there is a download, they'll get more money for that. See if they've got physical purchases or fan merch. The best way you can support any of your favourite music artists is to go and buy something direct from them. The streams, you all know, 0.003. The caps, maybe about €7.
And go see them, because so many artists have been coming through and touring. You've had, Marina Sati. You've had Alpha from San Remo. You've had Luke Black, Lord of the Lost. A whole bunch of artists have been coming through and doing gigs. So even after Eurovision, you can keep the spirit alive and just go see artists in concert. Even if you can't make it to the concert, buy the ticket.
There's lots of ways to support. There's lots of ways to find. And of course, we're at the Eurovision Song Contest. So we do keep score, which is weird, but we all are here for the music and the iceberg. But not here for much longer, because the tape is slowly running a tape reference. Jeez, Ewan. Oh, really? Really? 2 point, just say goodbye so I can hit stop.
Goodbye to you, good sir.
Indeed, yes. As always, to all the friends out there who we know, to all our friends who we are still to meet, you all stay safe, be kind to each other. I'll say ta-ra. Dude will say...
adios.
Adios, that'll do fine. And we'll cue the guitars. Catch you next week. This week's ESC Insight News podcast was hosted by Ewan Spence with Dudepoint. Find out more at www.escinsight.com, dudepoints.fun, and support us patreon.com/ESC Insight.